2023 will go down in history as the year a former United States president was booked in prison as inmate number PO1135809 and had his mugshot photographed for the booking record before being released on a $200,000 bond. Donald Trump was fingerprinted in Fulton County Jail, Georgia, and booked on 13 felony charges, including the serious crime of violating the Georgian Corrupt Organizations Act. But in spite of the seriousness, Trump continues his campaign for president, claiming he will be re-elected in 2024. But is Trump really running for president? Or is he in fact just running for prison? Let's take a closer look. Donald Trump has an insult for every person who stands in his way. And standing between him and a second term as president are now a number of people working in the justice system, by which Trump has now been indicted 4 times. According to Trump, Special Counsel Jack Smith is deranged. The District Attorney of Georgia, Fani Willis, is corrupt. In Washington, D.C., Tanya Chutkan is a biased and unfair judge. And Trump even calls District Attorney Alvin Bragg from Manhattan a racist and a criminal. Obviously, Trump's characterizations have no merit. In reality, these jurists have been civil servants for years, also during Trump's presidency. They just happen to collide with Trump because Trump's actions have brought him in conflict with the law. And now, in their capacity as jurists, they all have a decisive influence over how Trump spends the rest of his life, be it on a golf course or in jail. But why would Trump demean and offend them when they could affect his case? Because while Trump claims he can win the presidency, deep down, Trump knows there are 3 main reasons he will never again be president of the United States. The first reason is found in the 14th Amendment of the American Constitution. Section 3 of this amendment says if you have taken an oath to support the Constitution of the United States and then subsequently have engaged in insurrection, you are barred from holding office again. Trump often calls the January 6 Capitol attack a beautiful day. But the courts have already ruled otherwise, and 366 people have now been sentenced to jail for being part of the insurrection, just like Trump told them to.
We fight like hell, and if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore.
With this incitement to violence, Trump started the fire that burned down his political career. Trump now wants to be the Republican presidential candidate, but on August 24, a lawyer in Florida filed a complaint to the court asking them as follows. Petitioner respectfully asks this honorable court to enter a declaratory judgment such that Donald J. Trump is barred from seeking the office of President of the United States and further is barred from participating in the Republican presidential primary in Florida in the spring of 2024. Several legal experts are convinced this will be the end of Trump's candidacy. The second reason Trump will not be president is, plain and simple, he would have to win a second term. Throughout the 247 years of US history, only 21 candidates have accomplished that, and only 1 candidate was able to win after first losing his presidency to someone else. This was Grover Cleveland, who was the 22nd president, and then won a second term in 1893 to become the 24th president after being out of office for 4 years. Think about that for a moment. Of the 45 different presidents, only 1 person ever succeeded in re-entering office after losing. That is how difficult Trump's challenge is. And to make matters much worse, Biden is campaigning on the backdrop of a strong economy with an unemployment rate of just 3.5%, while Trump, on the other hand, has a growing mountain of legal trouble in front of him, which will get wall-to-wall coverage as we enter the 2024 presidential election year. If Trump really believed he could win, he would now be surrounded by political experts helping him build a strong political campaign. That requires thorough political analysis and carefully crafted messages which appeal to different groups of voters Trump needs support from. Groups like American women, young voters, black voters, citizens of swing states, etc. But instead of appealing to more voters, Trump is now island hopping from MAGA crowd to MAGA crowd, repeating the same old narratives which make a small group of die-hard fans cheer. Trump is not even participating in the nationwide TV debates, which are so crucial for raising awareness of the campaign. This is not a politician fighting for victory. It's a faded rock star who just wants to do one more tour before the career is over. And standing before these MAGA fans, we even hear him saying,
My very luxurious and enjoyable life. I had such a nice life. Now they want to say, let's go get this guy.
That is not the voice of a man looking forward, but the voice of someone looking back because he knows he has nothing left to look forward to. The third and most important reason Trump will never be president again is Trump would have to stay out of prison. People sometimes ask if Trump in theory could be elected president and then pardon himself. But a president can only pardon federal crimes, and in Georgia, Trump is charged with state crimes, so that simply wouldn't work. At this moment, 4 indictments have been unsealed, and a possible 5th indictment in Arizona is waiting in the wings. This means 4 different prosecutors have already stood before a grand jury of ordinary Americans and presented evidence so convincing the grand jury has voted to indict. Now, every person accused of any crime is considered innocent until proven guilty. But the indictments contain some serious charges. In Florida, Trump is indicted for showing top-secret military documents to people with no security clearance. In Georgia, Trump is indicted for election interference. This is the case where he called Georgian Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger saying,
All I want to do is this. I just want to find 11,780 votes.
And then started to threaten him.
The ballots are corrupt, and you're going to find that they are, which is totally illegal. It's more illegal for you than it is for them because you know what they did and you're not reporting it. That's a criminal offense.
In New York, Trump is indicted for falsifying business records when trying to hide the fact that he paid off both a porn star and later a Playboy model for keeping quiet about their affairs with Trump. And in Washington, D.C., Trump is indicted for preventing the United States Congress from certifying Biden's win in the 2020 presidential elections, thereby depriving the American people of their right to have their vote counted in a fair election. Combined, these 4 indictments contain 91 counts of criminal offenses, which in theory could lead to a maximum of 717 years in prison. So in summary, for Trump to be president in 2024, the legal case about state crimes in Georgia would have to fall apart. And in Florida, the court would need to rule Trump could run for president because the insurrection on January 6 was somehow not an insurrection created by Trump. And then on top of that, Trump would need to somehow delay all other cases brought against him until after the election. And on top of that, Trump would then need to convince more than half of America to still elect him for office. And then he would have to get away with pardoning himself. Now, I'm not a sports commentator, but I strongly believe Trump would have a better shot at winning the figure skating competition at the Winter Olympics. But we end this episode in Washington, D.C., at Trump's arraignment in August. Inside the courthouse, the magistrate judge spoke to Trump directly. Mr. Trump, she said, I want to remind you that it's a crime to try and influence a juror, or to threaten or attempt to bribe a witness or any other person who may have information about your case, or to retaliate against anyone for providing information about your case to the prosecution, or to otherwise obstruct the administration of justice. You have heard your conditions of release. It's important you comply. You may be held pending trial in this case if you violate the conditions of your release. Do you understand these warnings and consequences, sir? Are you prepared to comply? And Trump responded, yes. Trump then went back to Mar-a-Lago, opened his Truth Social app and posted in all caps, "If you go after me, I'm coming after you." This is not a man trying to comply. This is a man who sees the prison door closing behind him. And while his facade is still spray-tanned to conceal reality, a voice inside his head is screaming in desperation. And while Trump's inner voice screams, everyone else can now hear a song playing in the distance. It's that wonderful old song by the Crickets. I left my baby, my race is run. I fought the law, and the law won.